YouTube, the purpose of today's video is to create a beginner's guide for the pre-constructed commander deck called Virtue and Valor from Wilds of Eldraine. By the end of this video, you're going to learn how to play this commander deck so that when you play this deck against your friends, you'll know exactly what you need to do when you play this deck. At the end of this video, we're going to open up this collector booster pack to see what we get, but first things first, we gotta shuffle this deck. And now that we're done shuffling, we're gonna go ahead and go over the commander, but just keep in mind, guys, we're doing this play test without sleeves. I spent enough money on Commander Masters and I just purchased both of these commander decks so that I can make these videos. So if you guys would like for me to have sleeves, you can super thanks below, and then I can use that money to purchase sleeves for this commander deck, and I'll shout you out in the community so everybody knows that you super thanked to allow me to get some sleeves for this commander deck. Also keep in mind, guys, that I did get a content creator pass to go to Las Vegas, Nevada during MagicCon next month. So a lot of my money is pairing for that trip because I'm going to be in Vegas. So if you guys want to play against me in a game of Commander, you can see me in Vegas. And I may be playing this Commander. This Commander is Ellivere of the Wild Court. She reads, when Ellivere of the Wild Court enters the battlefield or attacks, create a virtuous roll token attached to the target creature you control. Whenever an enchanted creature you control does combat damage to player, you draw a card. Now, the rolls look something like this. The virtuous roll being upside down, which means she's going to give a creature +1/+1 for each enchantment that we control, which, guys, is actually incredibly powerful. So I'm excited to see how this works. We'll put our commander over here and we're going to go ahead and draw 7. So we'll see what we get. All right, so we draw into a Johnny's Chosen, Bear Umbra, Spectral Steel, Forest Plains, and a Daybreak Coronet. Our commander costs 4 mana. You know, we don't really have any creatures that we can play early. Everything we do is basically happening at 4 mana. The Johnny's Chosen's at 4 mana. Personally, if I had this opening hand, I don't have a turn 1 play. I don't have a turn 2 or even turn 3 in my hand. So I would mulligan this hand and put this back into the library and then draw again, actually. So just give me a second. So let's see what we get this time. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's see what we got. This is Unfinished Business, Mantle of the Ancients. Oh, Eidolon of Blossoms. Okay, that's a good card. Core Spirit Dancer, another really good card. Sungrass Prairie, Forest, and a Plains. We're definitely keeping this hand, guys. We got a turn 2 play. It's pretty powerful. We're gonna end up drawing into Archon of Sun's Grace, which isn't that bad of a card because we're just gonna create creature tokens for us. And I know in this deck we want to be getting creature tokens on the battlefield, so we'll play a Plains, and then we're gonna go ahead and pass the turn, and we'll draw into a Sanctum Weaver, which is going to add mana to our mana pool equal to the number of enchantments in play. And in this situation here, guys, like, we could play the Core Spirit Dancer, which puts a creature that is going to let us, draw cards as we cast our enchantments. But let's just ramp here. We'll tap 2, get the Sanctum Weaver on the battlefield. So this is going to tap for 1 mana next turn, which isn't that bad. I'm already enjoying this commander deck and we haven't really done anything yet. We're going to draw into a forest. I'm going to go ahead and play this Sungrass Prairie because that's a card that I can play because it was in my hand. And then looking at my hand right now, you know, I could play a Core Spirit Dancer in this situation over here. We only have 1 aura in our hand and we can only play that on turn 5. Actually, we do have 4 mana here because the Sanctum Weaver taps for a mana. So we're just going to go ahead and play this Archon of Sun's Grace instead. So we'll tap 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll play the Archon. So now whenever enchantment enters the battlefield under our control, we're going to go ahead and create a 2/2 Pegasus creature token with flying, which I think is good for our commander. So we're going to go ahead and untap. We'll draw for turn into Siona, Captain of the Pyles. And we're going to go ahead and get this forest on the battlefield. We could play our commander right now, get our commander onto the battlefield. So maybe we do or don't I don't know. I feel like I only want Ellivere on the battlefield when when I want to turn my board state more offensive. Like, I want to have at least 4 creatures on the battlefield before I get Ellivere onto the battlefield, just because, like, in this situation, if I play Ellivere, people are going to be incentivized to target Ellivere with removal, and I don't want to spend the extra mana to recast her again. So I'd rather, like, have a really buffed up creature and then play Ellivere so that my opponent is incentivized to use removal on my buffed up creature and not necessarily my commander. So we're going to keep Ellivere in the command zone for now. And lucky for us, we do have the Mantle of the Ancients, which is not really a card we want to play in this turn, but this card does end up being very powerful when you do play it. We need things in the graveyard in order for this card to be good, and we don't really have anything in the graveyard. So, you know, we're just going to go ahead and play Siona, Captain of the Pyles. We'll tap 3. We'll get Siona, Captain of the Pyles, onto the battlefield. When she enters the battlefield, we're going to look at the top 7 cards of our library, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we can reveal an aura and then put it into our hand. So we're going to go ahead and, oh, Indomitable Might, that's an aura. We could grab the Kenrith Transformation and put it into our hand so we could remove our opponent's creatures, but let's be more offensive. So we'll take this Indomitable Might, which is going to give a creature +3/+3, so that happens. We'll put that into our hand. We don't have enough mana to cast it right now, which is unfortunate, but at least we get an aura onto the battlefield. And then I think in that situation, we would just pass a turn. I would untap and draw Fortified Village. I don't have a forest or plains in my hand, so this is going to enter the battlefield tapped, which stinks, but whatever. Now, what we can do is, you see, I'm thinking like we could get another creature on the battlefield to play, but I think at 3 creatures on the board, you know, we don't want to put too many creatures on the board because then our opponents, if they decide to board wipe, we could get blown out. And I just think we play the Indomitable Might here. I'm deciding whether to put this on Siona or onto the Archon of Sun's Grace, and I almost want to play this. If I put it on Siona, Siona becomes a 5/5, you know, that's whatever. If I put this on the Archon of Sun's Grace, however, the Archon becomes a 6/7 with flying and lifelink, which would gain me 6 life. And I think that seems more, I want to bait removal. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that on the Archon of Sun's Grace. So we go to combat. Indomitable Might does have flash, so essentially we can go to combat, we can attack and then tap the 4 mana, and then we can flash in Indomitable Might. What's going to happen is we're going to assign combat damage as though it wasn't blocked. So this is going to deal 6 damage. We're going to gain 6 life, and because we've played a enchantment, we are going to get a Pegasus token on the battlefield. So now that we have that Pegasus token on the battlefield, technically we could tap the Sanctum Weaver here for 2 mana now. We could get the Spirit Dancer onto the battlefield, but like I said earlier, like, this is a prime time board wipe time. So let's just imagine that we pass a turn, somebody wipes the board, because I would if I had a board wipe at this point in time, and we lose all our creatures. After that, we'll go ahead and untap and draw. You know, after a board wipe, I think in the situation we're just gonna spend as much mana as we can, and we're gonna tap 4 and play the Eidolon of Blossoms. When the Eidolon of Blossoms enters the battlefield, we're gonna draw a card. We'll draw a plane. So play the planes for turn, and then I think we're just going to go ahead and pass because we don't really have anything else to do. And then we'll untap and we'll draw into a forest. We'll play that forest. And now we can start having fun because we can start casting our enchantments and doing pretty powerful things. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap 1 and 2, play the Core Spirit Dancer, and then I can tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are going to play the Mantle of the Ancients. When the Mantle of the Ancients enters the battlefield, we're gonna go ahead and return any auras from our graveyard to the battlefield attached to the Core Spirit Dancer. So as I cast this, I'm going to draw a card off of the Core Spirit Dancer's ability, which is a forest. Then I'm going to draw off the Eidolon because we have a enchantment entering the battlefield. We're going to get a Spectral Steel. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the Indomitable Might. Is going to enter the battlefield from the Mantle of the Ancients and equip to the Core Spirit Dancer. So now Core Spirit Dancer gets +2/+2 for each aura. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The Core Spirit Dancer has 9 power right now, which is, you know, for 5 mana, it's not too bad. So we're gonna go ahead and we played our land per turn, so we would just pass here, and then we can untap and draw into a Bear Umbra. Wow, that's a really good draw right there, actually. We'll go ahead and play this forest, and now what we can do is just really buff up our Core Spirit Dancer. We'll go ahead and tap 4 here. We will play the Bear Umbra on the Core Spirit Dancer. Core Spirit Dancer is going to get +2 again. So she's now, we had, that's 14 power on the Core Spirit Dancer now. And what I'm going to do is pay 4 mana. We'll get Ellivere onto the battlefield. When Ellivere enters the battlefield, we're going to create a Virtuous Roll token. And we're going to put that Virtuous Roll token onto the Core Spirit Dancer. So Core Spirit Dancer went from 14, it's gonna get +1 for each enchantment we control, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna draw 2 cards off of the Island of Blossoms and the Bear Umbra, which is Ajani's Chosen, and the Vitu-Ghazi City Tree. Oh man, this is a lot. So 14 power, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 19 power to 2021, because that's the another aura attached to the Core Spirit Dancer. Whoa. So basically we would go to combat here. Enchanted creature's controller may have it assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. So it's like kind of unblockable, but not really. People can block it and still lose their creatures. But what the cool thing is, we would attack with this Core Spirit Dancer, and then that's actually going to untap all of our lands because of the Bear Umbra, which is fantastic inside this deck. And now we just dealt 21 damage to somebody, which is absolutely insane. Because this is enchanted, we're going to draw a card off of the Ellivere trigger. We'll draw into the Celestial Archon, and that'll just go into our hand. And I think we could just pass the turn and kind of end this video here. I mean, we would go to our next turn, we would draw into a forest, we could play that forest, and then we could just keep enchanting this Core Spirit Dancer with things, drawing like literally like 4 cards after enchanting 2 things, keep enchanting, keep drawing, and just really buffing up this one creature like crazy, as you can see. You know, I like this deck. You know, I think this deck is really fun. I think if you're a new player, it's actually more much more simple than I had imagined or envisioned when I first saw this deck be released. I will just say, like, you know, the Ellivere's ability provides a pretty decent buff with that Virtuous Roll token. So make sure you bait out removal with other creatures, so that when you have your Core Spirit Dancer or whatever creature on the board and that you want to just take over the game at some point, make sure you do it at a time where your opponent has no removal left, you know? And if they have no removal left, you can do this unimpeded, and that's generally, things like this, you end up winning from games like that. If you upgrade the deck, I would probably suggest you find cards that let you take enchantments out of your graveyards and put it back into your hand so that you can replay them again. Because if we lost a Core Spirit Dancer there, we would have lost all of these auras. And however, if you were able to get the Mantle of the Ancients back and then replay the Mantle of the Ancients, we would have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 auras out of the battlefield or out of the graveyard immediately back onto the battlefield onto another creature, which would have been absolutely insane. So definitely make sure you're playing cards that help you or let you get enchantments out of the graveyard, so that you can kind of, once you have something set up, even if you lose it, and if you have like a couple of cards inside your deck, you know that you can just replay it again and set up the same thing again. It can be like absolutely backbreaking for some of your opponents to do that. So wow, what a good deck. I'm very surprised. Very strong precon. We're gonna go ahead and open the collector booster pack that we have over here, see what we get, and then we're gonna close out the video. Keep in mind, guys, when the channel hits 20,000 subscribers, we're giving away a commander deck, so just make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. We have a Raging Battle Mouse, which is a card that has a lot of words that I don't feel like reading. And then we have a Season of Growth, which I think is quite symbolic of the fact that I'm going to Las Vegas and I'm gonna be meeting all the new content creators, and hopefully we get to have a season of growth, meeting all these people and collaborating with a bunch of really awesome people. Okay, everybody, always remember, eat healthy. Okay, work out every single day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. And most importantly, you guys gotta remember to believe in yourself. All right, peace out, people.